Hey, this is Samuel G, and I'm gonna do what I do best. I'm gonna hobo on a topic, you know. So there's a guy named STR2 Joker, and he is an interesting vlogger. We got a lot of good topics going on, and he got a topic about subjective versus objective descriptions in RPG. And I've listened a couple times to the video, and I'm just I don't know why. I don't know exactly what he's trying to do with this topic. Those ideas, those concepts he's trying to develop around description. I don't know. It's quite interesting, but I'm like, is it really useful? And here's why. It's because in the video he talks about, and I've read the comments also as well, and most people they say exactly the same thing as I do. It's like that. You know, when he's going on the topic of, you give an example of a mirror, you know, and let's say you are in a tavern and you have a mirror, and then people start to describe the mirror, and the GM says, you know, it's an ugly mirror, and then he talks about the fact that nobody around the table is gonna see it the same way. He's gonna represent it in his mind or with his imagination the same way. So it's gonna be just like, let's say there's 4 players around the table, so there's gonna be 4 different mirrors, you know. And you know what is interesting, you know, it is true. There's nothing, you know, if the GM goes with a super generic description like that, people are gonna, and even if it's a super detailed description, still people are gonna see it different way. But where I'm bugged out is where he's taking it. It's where he's I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry. Give me a second. All right. So where I'm bugged out is what he's doing with this example afterward. He goes on and say, now, what do you do and what's going on if one of the player says, I want to take the mirror off the wall, and the other guy says, you cannot. It's like a 300,000 pound mirror. It's way too big. You cannot do it. And then the other guy says, oh, be careful because not to cut yourself because the edges of the mirror are quite sharp. And the other guy says, no, it's not that kind of mirror. Yeah, it has a wooden structure around it, so it's not like that. And I'm like, who does that? Honestly, like, who does that? Maybe I'm missing the point though. Maybe he's just trying to express something more abstract that I didn't get in the video, and it's possible. But by reading the comment, I feel like people felt the same way. I'm like, who will come and start to just mess up with people's descriptions just for the sake of it? You know, I think there is a distinction between agency and narrative control, and just using agency and narrative control to contradict people ideas and representations, you know. So the whole video is about that, you know, this distinction between objective and subjective relationship to descriptions in the world, you know, like narration and stuff like that. I'm like, interesting distinction, but who does that? Who will just, for me honestly, like with the kind of people I play with, nobody, you know, everybody is kind of mature enough, and they don't do stuff like that. You know, they're not. If there is an ugly mirror on the wall and I want to take it off the wall, and I grab the mirror and I crash it to the ground. If one of the guys, I've seen the mirror in his head, as a big ass mirror, he's just gonna modify his representation to make it fit what I'm trying to do. He's not gonna go like, you can do it. It's like a 300-pound mirror. And then the other guy next to it is like, no, it's not a 300-pound mirror. It's a small mirror. And you know, it's such a waste of time, waste of narrative energy, and yeah, I don't know. I've never seen such a thing happening. I don't see it happening, honestly. So here's what I want to do. I want to use this topic to propose another dichotomy, another distinction, another versus. Instead of objective and subjective, I would go with something different, totally different, on another tangent. Like I personally, with the people I've been playing with throughout the years, my 3 years of RPG, I've noticed that when you start doing a lot of objective description, like super detailed, vivid description of places, people, and areas and objects and stuff like that, you know, half of the time, most people, they don't care. They don't care about it. Like, they listen to you a little bit, and after a while, when you know, because the more you describe, the more time it takes. So they don't do anything. So they get bored really fast. Really fast. Especially if you start to describe like the object and the people's face, his facial expression and smells and stuff like that. Some people will like it. But some people, you know, they start looking at their character sheet. They start, you know, eating some chips and drinking some drinks, and they wait for you to bring out the conflict. And this is what I want to talk about. Like, honestly, the distinction I would like to make concerning descriptions, I would say perceptual description or visual description, which can be compared to the objective, realm STR2 Joker talked about. But I would like to oppose it to the conflictual description. Think about it. Most people, when they play an RPG, they need and they want something to react to. If you start to describe, you know, depending on the player all the time, of course, but if you start to describe all the details of the mirror or the wall behind you or the face the guy has and the smell he has and all that kind of stuff, there's nothing to react. It's just fluff. It's fluff. So most people's minds are driven to eliminate all the stuff that is useless, and they just wait for that conflictual thing to emerge, and now they have something to do, you know? So for me, what I've noticed is that description has like those two components. You have your objective, physical, perceptual, visual description of stuff, which some people really like, some people really don't care, honestly. And then you have your conflictual description, like when you start to describe events and structures of power structures and political stuff going on and narrative stuff and history elements and stuff like that. This is the conflictual description. This is where this is the stuff that the player needs to interact with your world in a meaningful way, you know, not in an objective way. So by seeing description in those two these two layers or these two components, I feel like it's way more useful to help you organize your narration and your description, simply because you get to understand a little bit better when to start doing the visual component, the perceptual stuff, and the fluffy look, aesthetic stuff, and when to stop and start to do your conflictual, and then get the player's attention back, you know, and then you can just go and play with it a little bit So that's something I wanted to share, because this is how I see it. This is how I feel it in my gaming. Most of the time, every time I get lots of vivid description and stuff. You're gonna have a couple guys out there that they really enjoy it. They will take it, they will drink it, and they will, some of them are gonna close their eyes and they're gonna be like making all these representation in their mind. And some are just gonna wait for you to finish. And it's a fact. It's okay. It's just a matter of taste. And now the people, the way the people see the gaming stuff, and how they interact with the role playing thing, and the decision making and all that. So by making that distinction, I think it's quite useful to get a better organization of your narration as a player and as a GM, because I always go both ways on that one. So anyway, this is what I wanted to talk about. I also want to ask about some tips, because I have problems with description. I'm not good at it. I'm just not good at it. I want to get better, and I'd like to know why. I'd like to know how I can get better, and if you guys have any tips to share. And because honestly, it's like I start to narrate, I start to describe, and then I kind of I don't know, sometimes it's just too short. I kind of go fast on things. Sometimes I have like epiphanies kind of thing, where I just go boom and it's just great. Sometimes I even forgot to describe, So let's say we go in a town, we meet some new NPCs and stuff, and me and the group I play with, it becomes a really generic narrative, where everybody's just talking about stuff. That's his name. This is what he does. And nobody describe anything. And we can go for like sessions like that, and then suddenly we kind of realize that we don't describe shit, and we come back to it. But it works anyway. Still have images in my head. I still see things. It's a really interesting phenomenon. I want to know what you guys think about this. How do you guys dealt with that in the past, or if you are dealing with these kinds of issues right now, like the way the narration sometimes become generic, but still do the job. Anyway, let me know what you guys think.